just email me and I'll sort it all out for you. Does anyone have any questions before we start, actually? Yeah, Alyssa, you have a question? No? All right. Then we're going to just finish off time today, and then we're going to get started on the whole statistics and probability topic, which is pretty much our last topic. And then we'll just start revising everything each week once we've finished off the whole course. And we'll just do our finishing touches. So let's start this. Measurement 3, working with time. Time zones. So a bit complicated sometimes. I've seen for students. I think they don't understand the idea of what's moving forward and what's moving backwards sometimes. And I guess if you're traveling, which I think would be the next bit, and traveling, they get that confused because obviously as you move from Paris to Boston, Paris and Boston would have 2 different time zones, but you're obviously going to fly to Boston. That's going to take some time, and that has to all be taken into account, and that usually confuses some students. But hopefully we can do every question here, and you girls will find it okay. So let's start with question 1. The table shows the 3 official time zones across Australia in winter. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Western Australia is only a +8 to the UTC line, which we're going to say is just the middle line, right? Western Australia is +8 and so on and so on. So that means from Western Australia to New South Wales, there's a 2-hour time difference. And of course, if you can understand this, Western Australia would be 2 hours behind New South Wales, or you can say New South Wales is 2 hours ahead of Western Australia. Any questions there? No, that makes sense. And when we're thinking of time zones, we are thinking of them from east to west. Of course, if I draw this and I go New South Wales all the way here on the Australian map, and Western Australia is here, you could just see that Western Australia is 2 hours behind, whereas New South Wales will be 2 hours ahead of Western Australia. That's how I personally see it. I think it makes more sense to me seeing stuff like this. And I hope that helps, and that's pretty much the diagrams I'll be drawing for us. All right. It's 30 minutes ahead of Sydney. What is the time on Lord Howe Island if it is 8:40 p.m. in Port Hedland, Western Australia? All right. Lord Howe Island is off the coast of New South Wales and has a time zone which is 30 minutes ahead of Sydney. What time if it is? All right. So let's have a look at this one. Lord Howe Island is off the coast of New South Wales and has a time zone which is 30 minutes ahead of Sydney. What is the time on Lord Howe Island if it is 8:40 p.m. in Port Hedland, Western Australia? Well, if it's 8:40 p.m. in Western Australia, we know we've got to add 2 hours to get to New South Wales or Sydney. And we've got to add another 30 minutes because Lord Howe Island is an extra 30 minutes ahead. So 0 point, what, for 30 minutes? 0.3? Anyone know? Simple. 30 minutes? Half an hour? 0.5. Now the problem is, how do I put this in my calculator? How would you be putting that into your calculator? Is it 840? Anyone have any ideas? What we did last week?
The bubble button?
Yeah, we're just going to use the bubble button, right? So you'll go 8 degrees, 40 minutes, plus pretty much 2.5. You don't need to use your bubble buttons there, unless you did 2 hours and 30 minutes, then you would have to. And then that should give us 8 p.m. plus 2.5. It's 11:10. 11:10 p.m. 11:55 a.m. in Wodonga, Victoria. Well, again, from Victoria to New South Wales, well, they're in the same line, right? Victoria and New South Wales, they're in the same line, so you're not going to add anything except the 30 minutes that is extra for Lord Howe Island, plus 30 minutes or the 0.5, but I thought I'll just change it up a bit. So that becomes 11 degrees 55 minutes plus 0 degrees 30 minutes, 12:25, as we know, PM. And then last one, 10:20 a.m. in South Australia. 10:20 a.m. in South Australia. Well, I mean 9.5 to New South Wales is 10. So that's a half an hour difference. So 10 plus half an hour plus half an hour is obviously plus 1 hour. Any questions there? Please let me know if I'm going too fast. I think we can skip the next one. It's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, that's not a problem. Daylight savings, you're just going to take away one. I'll rather do, yeah, these ones here. All right. The following table shows the local times for cities around the world. Have a quick read of this. Make sure you understand it all. And then once you do, let me know which one lies right in the middle. Which city lies right in the middle of the, on the UTC. Okay, anyone found it? Which city?
London.
London. And then how would you read Dallas?
It's 6 hours behind.
Behind who?
London.
And then what about Honolulu?
That'll be 10 hours behind.
And then what about Dallas to Honolulu?
Honolulu would be 4 hours behind Dallas?
Yeah, correct. Because mine is 10, right? So if you want to think of your number line, I mean, that's how I do it, like I said. There's your 0. There's -6. There's -10. Of course, Honolulu is 4 hours behind Dallas. And Dallas is 6 hours behind London. And then, I mean, if we keep trying this, let's say Manila. Manila is 8 hours ahead of London. Paris is 1 hour ahead of London. So therefore, Paris to Manila, Manila is 7 hours ahead of Paris. Or Paris is 7 hours behind Manila. All right, brilliant. Any questions? No, I think we got it. All right, what is the time difference between London and Paris? London and Paris. You know what I'd like to write instead of time difference? I mean, all you're meant to write is just +1, but I would really like to see what I was just saying there. I think it's just going to work better. Paris is 1 hour ahead. Tokyo and Dallas. Tokyo and Dallas. So -6 to +9. Well, -6 to 0 is 6. 6 to 9 is 9. So -6 all the way to 9 will give you 15. So Tokyo is 15 hours ahead of, or just ahead of, you know, ahead of Dallas. Honolulu and Manila. Honolulu and Manila. Again, Manila is -10 to +8. Any questions? If it is 5:30 a.m. on Tuesday in London, so right where you're in here, what is the local time in Manila? So +8. So 5:30 a.m. plus 8. Well, if I plus 7, that gets me 12:30. Right, so plus 1 more should be 1:30 p.m. Still Tuesday. I think it's important to put the day in as well, because your days will change. Especially like if you're coming from the US, because of the fact that the flight takes so long from the US to Australia, and there's a big time difference. Sometimes you might leave the US on a Tuesday, but you arrive in Australia on a Thursday. So you skip 2 days. You got to be aware of that. So days are really important, anyways. Paris is just plus 1, so 6:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. Honolulu is 10 hours behind. All right, how do you want to do 10 hours behind? Anyone have any idea of how to do 10 hours behind really quickly? What they would do instead of counting?
Would you maybe minus 12 and then
I like that
plus
number, right? That's a magical number. Minus 12. So what's 5:30 a.m. take away 12 hours?
5:30 p.m. on the Monday.
Correct. And then add two more hours now.
So 7:30 p.m.
Beautiful.
on Monday.
All right. So that is easy for you. Great. That's what I would have done. Instead of, I guess, minusing 10 one by one, you can just minus 12. That's 5:30 p.m. on the Monday, and then just add 2. Good job. Anyone have any issues? Worst case scenario, I mean, count if you have to. Like, no one's going to stop you. But it's good to be able to do things efficiently as well. A baseball game starts in Dallas at 7 p.m. on Saturday. What is the local time in London? Well, London is 6 hours ahead, right? London would be 6 hours ahead of Dallas, so 7 p.m. plus 6 gets me 1 a.m. on Sunday. If you want to know how to do this without, if you want to use your calculator for any reason, you could do it like this. This would be the trick. And this is what I was trying to talk about last week, but I think I brought it in too early. It was meant to be more with time traveling. So here we go. 7 p.m. 7 p.m. is 19 o'clock. 7 plus 12, right? 24-hour time. So 19 plus how many hours difference did we say? 6 hours. So you add 6. That tells you the time it is right now, which is 2500. There is no such thing as 2500, so you're going to take away 24. So take away 1 full day. That means it's not on Saturday anymore. It's 1. 25 take away 24 is 1. 1 the next day. So 1 a.m. on a Sunday. Again, there's nothing stopping you just to add. But if you want to see how the math is working out, there it is. LA and Dallas. LA is 2 hours behind Dallas. So that's easy. 2 hours behind 7 p.m. would be 5 p.m. on a Sunday. Tokyo we said was 15 hours ahead. So I'm going to do this business here, right? Instead of me adding and getting a number wrong by accident, I don't need to do that. I don't need to risk that. I'm just going to do this. So I know it's 7 p.m., which I understand is 1900, plus I know there's a 15-hour difference, so plus 15. 19 plus 15 should give me 34. I said take away 24. That gives you 1 full day. So 34 take away 24 is 10. That's 10 a.m. on the Sunday. And that's where this comes in very handy. Again, of course, to add 15, you could have added 12, which is 7 a.m. the next day, and then add another 3, and you get 10 anyways. But most top students are just able to do this. They just go, 7 is 19, 19 plus 15, 34, take away 1 full day, 10, get out of the way, move on. Last one. The time zone used in New York is UTC takeaway 5. You guys probably seen this when when you put your time on your phones and stuff like that, and you're trying to set it. And it just means at UTC you take away 5 hours. So it's 5 hours behind the UTC level, which is 5 hours behind London, in other words. What is the local time in New York when it is 10:40 Sunday in New Delhi? So New Delhi is 5 hours ahead of London, which means New York is 5 hours behind London. So New Delhi is 10 hours ahead. 10 hours ahead. So all you're going to do is get 10:40 p.m., which I said is 2040. Or you don't really care about the 40 because the 40 is still going to stay there, isn't it? So 20 plus the 10 hours gives you 30. Take away 24 is 6:40 a.m. on the Monday. (3:45 a.m. Wednesday in Tokyo. Tokyo is 9 hours ahead of UTC. So that's 9 plus 5 would give you 14 hours. So we want to do 3 plus 14 hours. Well, that just gives you 17. If it's 17, you know that's 5 p.m. Or if you take away 12 hours, you get 5 p.m. So in other words, it's 5:45 p.m. Still Wednesday. Last one. 8:20 p.m. Friday in Honolulu. 8:20 p.m. Friday in Honolulu. So Honolulu is 10 hours away. That's 5 hours away. So now Honolulu is 5 hours behind. So we're going to do 8:20. Take away 5 is obviously 3:20 p.m. still on a Friday. All right. Any questions? No. All right. Last bit, problems involving time zones and travel. All right. So the only difference here is the fact that we're traveling, and we will have to take into account, I guess, duration of the flight sometimes, depending on the questions. So have a quick read of question 1. Think about it for maybe a minute or two before I start. Think about what you would do, what you would add, subtract, I don't know, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so the first thing I see is to draw up this thing on a quick little number line, just so I can picture it a bit better. There's 0 or UTC. There is Boston, which is takeaway 5. And there's Paris, +1. So I now know Boston to Paris is 6 hours different. Paris is ahead by 6 hours, and Boston's behind by 6 hours. I recommend getting used to drawing something like that for yourself. You can picture them a little bit better. Lee flew from Paris to Boston, arriving at 9:25. So she arrived at Boston 9:25 p.m. If the flight took 8 hours, 10 minutes, what was the local time in Paris when the flight departed? Okay, so what was the time in Paris when the flight actually departed? Well, if you arrived at 9:25 p.m., that means first you got to subtract the time that it took to actually fly, right? Because you want to work out what time you departed. So you got to take away all the flight duration. So 9:25 p.m. minus 8 hours and 10 minutes, which equals 1:15 p.m. But 1:15 p.m. is the time it would have been at Boston, right? Do we understand that?
Yes.
So 1:15 p.m. is the time you would have, you would have left Paris, right, at this time, Boston time. But you want to work out what that time would be in Paris time. So what you've got to do is Paris is 6 hours ahead of Boston, so you've got to add 6 hours to that. So you would have left at 7:15 p.m. in Paris. I think from here we've already answered the B, but before I continue, do you guys get that? Plus now 6 hours to get to 7:15 p.m. in Paris when the flight departed. What time would the local time be in Boston when the flight departed Paris? Well, it's 1:15 p.m. That's already been worked out, the way we're doing it. And last one, Paris. When the flight arrived in Boston, what was the local time in Paris when the flight arrived in Boston? Well, if it was 9:25 now in Boston, Paris is 6 hours ahead. So Paris would have been 9 plus 6 should be 3, because that's 9 plus 6 is 15. So you take away 3:25 a.m. the next day. But it doesn't say, it just says what time, obviously. 3:25 a.m. next day, we'll just say it. Now, if you can actually, if you 100% feel like you could execute that yourself, I can tell you this will be an exam question. Exactly this. And we can take out, I can open up the last 20 years HSC questions and you'll see every single year it's been this exact question. You got to understand how to do that really, really well. All right, let's try another one. Question 2. Again, maybe I'll give you a few minutes, have a read, maybe draw a few things up. Maybe if you want to see my work in FRP, have a think about it, and then let's see what we can do. All right, let's have a read. Anyone actually get some answers out, or maybe? All right, let's have a look then. Emilio's flight departed New York at 6:15 p.m. and landed in San Francisco at 7:05 p.m. So again, I would quickly draw this up. And I'll be like, all right, San Fran is -8, whereas UTC is -4 New York. Okay, so New York is here, and that would be a 4-hour difference between the two. You left New York at 6:15 and you arrived at 7:05 p.m. And San Francisco is 4 hours behind as well. Okay. What time was it in San Francisco when the plane took off? Well, you know, right now it's 7:05 p.m. in San Fran, right? Oh, sorry. When the plane took off, sorry, departed New York at 6:15. So what time was it in San Fran when the plane took off from New York? Well, San Fran is 4 hours behind New York, so it'll just be 6:15 p.m. minus 4 hours. So it was 2:15 p.m. San Fran time when the plane took off. What time was it in New York when the plane landed? Well, the plane landed 7:05 p.m. in San Fran. You know that New York is 4 hours ahead. So of course you're just going to add 7:05 plus 4 hours. It would be 11:05 p.m. in New York when it's landed in San Fran. How long was the flight? Well, there's a few ways you could do this, but I think the one that would make the most sense would be this. I mean, think of it like this. What time was it in San Fran when the plane took off? Well, the plane took off 2:15 p.m. San Fran, and now it's 7:05 p.m. So think of it like that. Or you could even do it with New York. So I'll just do San Fran. It was 2:15 p.m., but now it's 7:05 p.m. So you're going to do 7:05 p.m. minus 2:15 p.m. And that will give you your answer you're looking for. The way I would do this, you will not be able to do 24-hour time because you only do it with the hours and minutes. So this one would be a bubble button. 7 hours and 5 minutes minus 2 hours and 15 minutes. Gives you 450. So 450, 4 hours and 50 minutes. It takes 4 hours and 50 minutes to fly from San Fran to New York or New York to San Fran. You want to double check that? Let's just go up here. It should be the same for New York. So right now, let's say it's 11:05 p.m. in New York when the planes landed. And it left at 6:15. That should tell you exactly how long the flight was, which is 4 hours and 50 minutes. All right. Any questions about that question? Try question 3. Have a read, jot a few things down. All right. Libby caught a plane which left Sydney at 7:50 a.m. Wednesday. The plane flew for 14 hours and landed in Dubai for a 3-hour stopover. The plane then flew 7 hours to London. What was the local time in Dubai when it landed? So what time did it pretty much land in Dubai? Well, that's not too hard. 7:50 a.m. The plane flew for 14 hours. So you've got to add 14 hours for the flight. But you've got to also understand that Dubai is 6 hours. Well, again, have a look at over here. London. Let's talk like this. London, and then Dubai would be here, and Sydney is here. So Dubai is 6 hours behind Sydney. So 7:50 a.m. plus your 14 hours for your flight minus 6 hours behind. That's what time it is local time in Dubai. Does anyone not get that still? Really, we all get that? All right, that's great. Well then 7:50, again, I would just do it like this, 7:50 plus 14 minus 6 gets me 15:50, which is 3:50 p.m. Let me just double check that. 7:50 plus 14 is 7:50 p.m. take away 6. Sorry, no, plus 14 is 9:50, take away 6 is 3:50. Yep, 3:50 p.m. still on a Wednesday. What was the local time in London when it landed? Okay, so now in London, hold on. So we've got this. Now we know, where are we? 7:50 a.m. on a Wednesday. We flew for 14 hours. So this is the way you would do it for London. You don't want to look at the local time in Dubai and then go from Dubai to London. You might as well just go from Sydney. It's easier. So 7:50 a.m. You had a 14-hour flight plus a 3-hour stopover plus another 7-hour flight. Cool? So we had what? 14 plus 3, 17. 17 plus 7, that's 24 hours of pretty much flying. But we know that London is 10 hours behind Sydney. London is 10 hours behind Sydney, so minus 10. So if you add this up, this should be 750 plus 24 minus 10, so just plus 14, which is 21. So that will become 9:50 p.m. Which makes sense if you want me to show you a different way of thinking about this. If it's Dubai, just make sure. So Dubai, when it landed, Dubai is 3:50 p.m. Then you would add 3 hours, that gives you 6:50 p.m. in Dubai. Then you flew for 7 hours, but then you got to take away 4. So 6:50 plus 7 take away 4 is plus 3. 6:50 plus 3 will give you 9:50. So even if you did it from Dubai and you added 3 hours for the stopover, that means you left Dubai for London at 6:50 p.m. Then you got to add 7 hours to 6:50 p.m., which gives you about 1:50 a.m. But then London is 4 hours behind Dubai, so 1:50 a.m. take away 4, you're back to 9:50 p.m. So it's up to you. Whatever's easier. To me, it makes more sense just to start from Sydney. You could have started from Dubai and added your 3 hours. Yeah. Last one. What was the local time in Sydney when the plane landed in London? Well, that's easy. Right now I land in London 9:50 p.m. You know Sydney's 10 hours ahead, so just add 10 hours to that. 10 hours to 9:50 p.m. would be 9:50 p.m. So that means that's 9 plus 12, 21:50 plus 10 hours. You know, 50 plus 10 is 31:50. Take away 24. 31 take away 24. I'm only doing the hours, right? Just so you understand. You don't need to worry about the minutes. That's 7:50 a.m. on the Thursday. Or of course, you could have, if you wanted to add 10, you would add 12, which is 9:50 a.m. Take away 2 is 7:50 a.m. International dateline longitude is, what is the longitude of the international dateline? That should be 0, right? Or is it 180? I'm not 200% sure that one. 180. Yeah, doesn't work. Okay. So yeah, what is the longitude of the international dateline? 180 degrees. Do we even need this one? Crossing the international dateline from longitude to longitude 170 west to 170 east, a person gains, loses a day. Well, if you went from 170 west to 170 east, what's happening? You're going ahead. So imagine it was, I don't know, imagine it was Tuesday here. If you go, it's going to become, and this is already a 24-hour time difference. So it takes you 24 hours to get there, and that's on the other side of Earth, right? Because 170 west all the way to 170 east. So you're actually going to be losing a day. Does that make sense? If you're going from left to here, because these guys are ahead, you're losing a day. From longitude, from here, from east to west, going back, so you're actually gaining a day. So imagine you started on a Wednesday. As you travel backward, this might become like Wednesday morning, or Tuesday evening, or even sometimes Monday. So you would gain a day, for example. Does that make sense? If you want to test that out, I highly recommend, you know what, let's just do it together. Let's search up that country right now. That's happening, but anyways, let's search it up. Return, yeah, let's go return. Sydney, New York, 16th of May. Perfect, he already knows. We want to go next week. 2 travelers. Oh, too good. All right, so watch this. Sydney to New York. Search flights. So if we leave Saturday the 16th of May, and we would like to get back Saturday the 23rd of May. And we're going to write sort it out by fastest first. So the fastest is this. You can see here it says +1. That means you're going to arrive one day after you wanted to arrive, or one day after you leave. +2 means you're going to arrive 2 days after. So if I leave Sydney on Saturday 16th of May, I leave Sydney Saturday 16th of May at 10:30 in the morning. I arrive at San Fran at 7:10. I have a little bit of a wait. Then I've got to head to Boston, a little wait. And then I get to New York 6:29 a.m. the next day on Sunday. So 6:29 a.m. on Sunday, and I left 10:30 a.m. on Saturday. The whole trip will take 33 hours. Another one would be these guys. On the way back, I go from New York to LA, a little bit of a wait, LA to San Fran, a little bit of a wait. But then can you see by the time I go from, because of the time here, especially 18:25, it's 6:25 p.m. at night, I leave Saturday the 23rd of May. The next day, it's already 8:15 a.m. So that's the next day already. So that becomes Sunday the 24th. And then by the time I go through this nice long flight again, 14 hours plus Sydney time, Sydney would be ahead. You lose another day. You arrive Monday at 7 p.m. So you left Saturday 18 p.m., 6 p.m. You arrive Monday 7 p.m. That's 48 hours later. You just lost 2 days of your life. You can never get back. All right. Well, technically you get it back if you can go back to, if you keep just traveling back and forth, kind of. You balance it out, I guess. All right. Let's just skip that and let's just jump on to question 6. Try that out. Again, I'll give you a few minutes to try it out on your own. I think we're done. We're up to the topic test, so we're going to start. We'll do a bit of a revision and then we will start our last topic. So have a read of question 6. Just do A. See if you can get an answer out. Okay. How long will the following flights take? If you depart Perth at 6:50 p.m., you arrive London at 5:10 a.m. on Thursday. Well, you know there's an 8-hour difference. You know that London is 8 hours behind Perth. So if it's 6:50 p.m., I would first subtract my 8 hours behind. So I'll know exactly what time it is London time when I left Perth. So 6:50 take away 8 gives me 12. So then 10 should be 10:50 a.m. London time when I departed. Right? But now it's 5:10 a.m. the next day. So 10:50 a.m. on a Wednesday, by the way. Now it's on a Thursday, 5:10 a.m. And how long would that be? So 10:50 a.m. If you plus 24, you would get 10:50 a.m. on Thursday. But then you got to take away to get to 5:10 a.m. So what's that? 10:50 a.m. to 5:10 a.m. Thursday. I'll wait for someone to actually say an answer. I think it's better. And I'll just try to get it out as well. All right, I think I've got an answer. Anyone have an answer yet?
Was it 15 hours and 10 minutes?
It's not 10
No.
minutes.
Okay.
No. Maybe add 12, let's say. That gets you 10:50 p.m. and then just keep adding until you get to about 4 or 5 and then see how you can go from there. Maybe even this. You guys are trying it out. And it is 12 hours. That gets me 10:50 p.m. Plus, I don't know, let's say another 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours.
Is it 18 hours and
Yes.
and
Yes.
10 minutes? 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
20 minutes, yeah.
It is
Okay.
18 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, so 12 plus 6, that would get you 4:50 a.m. And then, of course, you've got to add another 20 minutes. And then that gets you 5:10 a.m. And then 20 minutes plus 6 hours plus 12 hours is 18 hours and 20 minutes. All right, try it again. B. Okay. Sydney. $10 minus 8, so that means LA is 18 hours behind Sydney. So same thing, I'll do 11:30 a.m. Monday. You know that LA is 18 hours behind Sydney. LA is 18 hours behind, so you're going to subtract 18 hours. That will tell you the time in LA. Of course, you know what time you arrived, so you're going to pretty much do the same thing. So let's have a look. 11:30 a.m. Monday, take away 18 hours. Well, if you took away 12 hours, that would get you 11:30 p.m. Take away another 6 hours. 11:30 take 6. What did I say? 11:30 p.m. Take away another 6 is 5:30 p.m. on Sunday. That's what time you would have left Sydney in LA time. Right now it's 7:20 a.m. Monday. Well, just do the same thing we just did. First add 12. That gets you what? 5:30 a.m. Add another 1. That gets you 6:30. Add another 50 minutes. We'll get you 7:20. Right? Because you can't add 2 hours because that gets you past 7:30. Well, that gets you past 7:20. Sorry. So it's going to be plus 1 hour and 50 minutes. So altogether, it's 13 hours and 50 minutes. So I can't say the math is hard. It's just more about understanding what's ahead, what's behind, how to add, how to subtract. If you have to do it slowly, do it slowly. No one's going to rush you with this. There's a lot of room for error here. So just take your time, count with your fingers, do whatever you've got to do. Don't rush these. Okay. Well, I think once we finish off our next topic that I want to start with, we will be going through all the exams anyways, so we might as well just do it then. And this gives us a good time. Excuse me, to recap everything. I'll stop that recording there.